If you enjoy the content, please subscribe here. Listen, there is as interesting a prospect we've seen in the last 5 to 8 years. I'm not saying one of the best prospects we've seen. I'm saying as interesting a prospect we've seen in the last 5 to 8 years. Trae Young out of Oklahoma is lighting it up. He's leading the nation in points per game, and he's also leading the nation in assists per game. Unheard of, right? He has like a 30-20 game, I believe. I mean, every night the brother is finding ways to make plays, not only for himself, but he is as capable a playmaker I've seen at the collegiate level in quite some time. In regards to Steph Curry, I think that's a very, very, very high praise in comparison. But I will say this, I watched pretty much a lot of Steph Curry's games at Davidson. Steph Curry never made plays for others like this. And Steph Curry can make plays for others, don't get me wrong. He didn't make them at the rate and the ease that Trae Young is doing. And Trae Young is doing most of everything out of a double team. I'll say this about Trae Young. His ability to make plays. I don't know if I've seen too many guards, and I'm talking about some of the best point guards, strictly point guards like the John Walls, the Rajon Rondo, the Kentucky. We've seen really good point guards. Trae Young is as elite a playmaker I've ever seen on the collegiate level. And I will say this. I'm not 100% sure that Trae Young will be at the next level a good point guard, a great point guard. I'm not sure. He's very undersized. Oklahoma has him listed as 6'2". I find that very hard to believe. He looks like he's like 5'11". At the most, he's 6 feet. If you look at the NBA right now, the landscape of the league, I mean, he looks about Shane Larkin size. You know what I mean? He's not. You're talking about putting him in the Wolves against every night. You got to go against somebody like Damian Lillard. He's like, what, 6'3", 6'4"? You know what I mean? Mike Conley's at least 6'4". Guards are getting bigger. And though there's an Isaiah Thomas, for every Isaiah Thomas, there's a 6'5", 6'6" Ben Simmons who plays a point guard for Philly. There are huge point guards at the next level. And I don't believe Trae Young's 6'2". But I will say this to every GM scout out there that is going to opt to not draft Trae Young, because he won't get past 7. He probably won't get out of the top 5. I'll say this to you. If you decide to not draft Trae Young, I simply hope you know what you're doing. I will not fault you if you don't draft Trae Young. This is not a guarantee like a Ben Simmons. This is not a guarantee like a Karl Anthony Towns. This is not a guarantee at all. This is a huge risk. But if you opt to not draft this potentially franchise-changing player, you better know what you're doing. Because if he turns out to be anything like the signs we've seen, because we had signs that Steph was special and then he ended up falling to 7 to Golden State. So if you're not going to draft Trae Young and we have signs that he's Steph Curry-like, you better know what you're doing. You better come out of this draft with a very nice prospect, because these are the type of drafts that get guys fired. You miss on Trae Young, he's a superstar, he's a perennial all-star. You get a guy from overseas, or you get a guy that doesn't pan out, you gotta lose your job for that. All of it was in your face. This is not a guy from overseas that you draft and you weren't able to watch a lot of games, you weren't able to scout him a lot. Trae Young, what he's doing is right in your face. It is the leading storyline in college basketball this season. If you don't draft Trae Young, I won't fault you. You better know he's going to be a bust and he's too little to play at the next level. Because if you miss out on a guy with his range and his Steph Curry-like and his passing ability, your franchise might get set back 5 to 8 years.
I want to salute you, homie, for building your own thing and doing your own thing, creating your own platform, your own website.
I got one life to live out my dreams, and I'm giving this thing all I got. I interview celebrities. I talk sports. I represent the culture.
Right now you're turning up on MrTaliaferro.com, shawty.